is this structure emerging from the sands. This structure is also now being known as the lotus in the desert because it's carved out of pink sandstone. Italian marbles and much more has been carved so that it gets this beautiful shape, and it's a testimony, it's a testament to timeless craftsmanship and obviously the Indian intricacy in terms of art, culture, tradition is all depicted on the walls of this beautiful Babs Hindu temple. So I will also take you inside to show you the intricacy of the art that's depicted inside the temples, under the 7 spires that make this temple as beautiful as it meets the eye. We are inside the Babs Hindu temple, the highly anticipated temple where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be coming, and we'll be inaugurating it on 14th of February on his visit to UAE. To show you around, my camera person will pan for you and show you the beautiful visuals of this temple, the height, the depth and the intricacy of the art, craftsmanship, which is a testament to what India has to offer in terms of its crafts, timeless crafts that has been depicted here. We obviously see this beautiful structure. When generally people visit Abu Dhabi, this structure transcends them from the general Abu Dhabi in terms of luxury hotels, racing car arenas and much more, to beautiful spiritual place and everything that depicts Indian craftsmanship, Indian culture, Indian tradition and more. With my colleague Ashwini Mishra and camera person Pramod Negi, this is Meghna Dev, 4DD India from Abu Dhabi.
All right, let's talk about this further. We have joining us now Ambassador Sanjay Bhattacharya, former Secretary MEA, as well as Dr. Anshu Joshi, Professor, School of International Studies at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. Good afternoon to you both. First, to you, Ambassador Bhattacharya, what do you make of this prospect that Prime Minister Modi is now in Abu Dhabi, and it's his 7th trip ever since he got into the Prime Minister's chair? In 2015, he made the first trip, and so much has happened through the course of these years as far as India-UAE ties are concerned, haven't they?
It is indeed, because I think for us in the Gulf region, the relations with the United Arab Emirates has been particularly significant and beneficial to both sides. We had started, as you know, with an energy and manpower security equation, but over time this has grown to various other dimensions, such that we not only look at the aspects of food security, education security, health security, but UAE is for us like a launchpad into the region. And similarly for UAE, the relations with India have blossomed, and we are in a much deeper footprint collaborating on regional and global issues. And this is the way the relationship will go forward, which is a future-oriented partnership. The other aspect that is extremely important about the United Arab Emirates is that it is also home to the largest contingent of Indian diaspora overseas, with over 3 million people who live in the UAE. And therefore, that is another added aspect of the relations, which is extremely significant. So it is but natural that Prime Minister attaches the highest importance to our relations with the Gulf region and with the UAE in particular, where we have a comprehensive partnership, and we would like to take this further to the next level.
Yes, certainly. Now, the dimension that has been added by the SEPA, Professor Joshi, do you think, and the LCS, that is a local currency exchange sort of a scenario that has happened, it's more recent than the SEPA, but to what extent do you think it will change the dynamics of the relationship further, make it even stronger?
Indeed, and first, let me congratulate each and everyone living in India and UAE for this historic event that we are going to observe tomorrow with this formal inauguration of the first Hindu temple built in UAE by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. It's going to spell trust, transparency and truth. And would indeed be taking both the nations to scale the new heights of their bilateral relations. And coming to your question now, if we see in past 1 year, both the nations nations have tried a lot to take their economic relationship to the next level. And 5 high-level visits by the top leaders of both the nations took place in 2023. Our Prime Minister Modi visited to Abu Dhabi last year, and several MOUs were signed. And in these MOUs, significant areas such as co-investments, green energy, science and technology, local currency settlement, and payment and messaging systems were covered. And when the UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed visited Gujarat this year, again several agreements were signed, and proceeding with the commitment to create a roadmap for future covering SEPA as well as increasing investment into each other seems to be the agenda of both the nations. And we should not forget that both the nations are among each other's top trading partners list. We both have a bilateral trade of about 85 billion USD, and UAE is also among our top 4 investors in terms of FDIs. Indeed, UAE is an important economic center, not only in the context of West Asia, but also globally, and it has a strategic location. And now it is trying to diversify its economy, and there, for the successful diversification of its economy, it is looking forward to India. So I'm really hopeful that during this visit of our Honorable Prime Minister, some significant achievements we would be able to see.
All right. Ambassador Bhattacharya, we've also seen how well, just yesterday it was in Mauritius and in Sri Lanka that the UPI became operational. Mauritius also going for the RuPay cards. We've seen that happen earlier in the case of the UAE. To what extent does that add to the dimension of how easily people, not just governments and corporations can do business with each other, but people can do business with each other in India and UAE?
You see, the spectacular growth that India has achieved in recent times has made India a major factor in global developments. So not only does India's growth matter to the world, what the world does also matters to us. And increasingly, we will find that India will be more closely integrated in the process of globalization, in which our capital, our finances will have a greater say, in which our human resources, our technologies will have a greater say. And it is with this purpose in mind that increasingly we find that there are many countries with which we are now entering into preferential arrangements in the case of trade and investment, financial transactions, and so that we can have a more meaningful impact on the future developments that are going to shape the world today. The UAE, as you well know, has been a player that has always been above the curve, which has been ahead of the curve in terms of incorporating new ideas and bringing about greater dynamism in relationships. And in that, India has always been a very, very forceful and enthusiastic partner to UAE's ambitions. And so UAE and India today have that synergy. What we see in terms of the, particularly what you mentioned about the use of local currency, the use of the RuPay cards, for instance, and the trade and investments in local currencies, will see a great fillip in terms of the kind of levels that we achieve in both these cases. And therefore, this is going to be mutually beneficial for the economic development, not only of the two countries, but of the projects that we take up in third countries, as well as the way the regional dynamics evolve over time. So this is a very significant aspect of our economic cooperation. The other thing that was going to be extremely important as well is the way that we shape the future logistics chains. And as you know, there are discussions ongoing for the India-Middle East-Europe corridor, economic corridor, in which, again, the UAE will play a very significant role along with other partners in the Gulf. And again, these are aspects that are looking at how we can leverage the future towards a more dynamic world.
Certainly. I'll just come to you, Professor Joshi, but I'm being told that we're also joined by my colleague Meghna Dev, who's in Abu Dhabi, and today's events are all unfolding in Abu Dhabi. Meghna, just tell us what can we expect, because it's a packed day for Prime Minister Modi in Abu Dhabi today with all the bilateral engagements and then the big event as well at the stadium.
Yes, obviously, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has a bilateral today with the President of UAE, and after that, he will be coming to the Zayed Sports Stadium, where I am currently, at, and I will show you the visuals first, because people have already started coming in for the community event, which is being told that it is the largest Indian community event in UAE, and this is going to really be because we have seen a number of people already here, and the excitement is very palpable. People have been, since morning we have been seeing that people have been making all the arrangements. The cultural team is here, which will be performing different dance tunes, different music, and will be obviously showcasing the culture and heritage of India. I would like to speak to a few of them. Can you guys, encapsulate for us what's the excitement like? What are you performing today?
Yeah, actually, we are representing Bengal team. We're really very, very excited part of this historic moment, and Modi coming to our, UAE, and it's also like, it's like really India. You can see absolutely. We have been practicing really hard for a long time.
Yes, so definitely, as she said that mini India, I will take you inside to show you some more glimpses of what's in store in terms of the cultural performances that have been lined up at the Zayed Sports Stadium. And will be all about tradition and culture. Can you just tell us what's the excitement like? What are you feeling today? We are performing Kerala. We are showing different traditions of Kerala, the traditional dances, Bharatanatyam. Of course, we have Kathakali representation now. We have Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, we have the Odissi dance. We have a variety of dance groups here with us. Yeah. And the excitement was high. We are so excited. We're so happy. Dance and music, both singer and
All right, we could see Meghna Dev there live joining us from the Zayed Sports City in Abu Dhabi, where the Prime Minister's Indian diaspora, that is the Indian community program, will be taking place. It's called Ahlan Modi or Welcome Modi, and we'll be showing that live to you as and when that happens later in the day. But let me take you back to Professor Joshi of the JNU and talk about how relations have been progressing between India and the UAE. Professor Joshi, we've seen how this relationship, as Ambassador Bhattacharya also mentioned, has evolved from just trading and security partnership, energy partnership to other dimensions as well. Now, added to these dimensions are the challenges of the future as well, such as technology like AI or sustainability and climate. How do you think India and UAE working together to take on these challenges?
Definitely, we have certain global objectives as well as the challenges to look after. And India is playing a significant role through its bilateral relations as well as its multilateral relations, as in the key members of various multilateral platforms, to find sustainable solutions multilaterally of these challenges. And UAE is its partner on different forums, I would say. So, for example, UAE was a special invitee of the G20 summit held in New Delhi, hosted by India as the president of G20 last year. Then UAE was also invited to SCO as a dialogue partner last year. UAE also participated with India as the new member nation of BRICS. So both the nations are bilaterally also emerging as positive partners, wherein both are trying to contribute to these objectives as well as finding the solutions of the challenges. At the same time, both are playing positive role in different multilateral platforms. For example, India, France, UAE trilateral was launched last year to find the sustainable solutions of different objectives or challenges such as climate change containment or economic issues, or for that matter energy security and so on. And we do see both the nations are progressing in a positive direction. Last month itself, for the first time, this military exercise between the two nations was held in Rajasthan. It's known as a desert cyclone. So we can understand that how gradually that trust has been built between the relations of both the nations. Both are also actively pursuing FTAs with several important other countries, and here both the nations have certain strengths. So for example, I would like to focus on UAE. If we look forward to UAE is also a member nation of GCC, that is Gulf Cooperation Council, and because of that UAE has free trade access to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Bahrain and Qatar and Oman and Jordan, Egypt, Iraq, and the list is long. So through that, India also gets an access if it works as a partner through any FTA with the UAE. Similarly, India is also working as a very strong multilateral player presently, with very good relations with United States of America, equally with Russia and its other neighboring countries as well. So considering that, I think I'm really hopeful that since both the nations belong to two different worlds, but coming under this one umbrella of contributing positively to global good, both would be able to contribute positively in this direction.
Well, certainly. Ambassador, if I could again come to you and ask you about how India and UAE are jointly taking on the challenge of climate change. We've seen the hosting of the climate conference as well in the UAE, and there as well we saw how the two leaders took part in these multilateral partnerships that will lead to possible solutions to parts of the challenge, at least if not in its entirety.
Well, UAE has emerged as a very strong regional player as well. And therefore, in addition to the very strong and stable and growing bilateral relations that we have with the UAE, their participation in regional and global issues is extremely important. I think it was just mentioned that India and UAE are partners in a number of regional and plurilateral body as well. For instance, we have a partnership with GCC. We work together on IORA, which is the Indian Ocean Rim. We also work together on BRICS now, where UAE has become a new partner and member. We also look forward to UAE's role in the United Nations, where it is currently in a very significant role as a member of the Security Council, as a non-permanent member. Today, when there are so many issues that are present, particularly in the region, the role of UAE has grown even further. You're all aware that in the West Asian Middle East region, there is a certain issue that is ongoing even as we speak, and UAE has been at the forefront of trying to forge commonalities so that the Israel-Palestine issue can be resolved more harmoniously. And this is also, for instance, one of the issues that would come up. I think the primary focus for us will be on the ways in which we can make the world a better place. And in that, not only will the rules of how we work together on regional and multilateral fora and how we govern ourselves, but also issues like how we have better exchanges in terms of the new technologies that are coming about, the new logistics opportunities that are to be created. And UAE is going to be critical in this. We have a very strong science and technology partnership with the United Arab Emirates. As you know, the UAE has emerged as a very solid education center, as a global hub for education, and India has also contributed to that development significantly. The one big spin-off of that is how we collaborate on knowledge-related issues, on AI, for instance, on blockchain, for instance, and how we can work together towards increasing the efficiencies of transactions. And UAE has been a very strong partner of that. But the other focus will be, I suspect, on the regional issues when Prime Minister has his interactions at the regional and multilateral events that are going to take place. As you know, when these multilateral events take place, part of the idea is to work on the agenda that is there for that multilateral body, and Prime Minister is going to be in Dubai for that. But also, it helps a very great purpose in meeting with various other global and regional leaders and in sorting out many of the issues that might be there or advancing the partnership that we have with them. So it serves both these purposes extremely well. And Prime Minister has such a strong rapport with the leaders in the region. He's seen as a brother by all the Gulf leaders and the other Arab leaders over there. So he will actually be able to leverage India's advantage and India's contribution towards the future of humanity in a much more meaningful manner.
Well, certainly. I think you're referring to the World Government Summit there as well a bit, which is to take place in Dubai, and Prime Minister Modi will be giving a keynote speech there as a guest of honor. My colleague Dibendu Mondal is on the phone line with me from Dubai at the moment. Dibendu, what all can you tell us about this event that is taking place in Dubai, World Government Summit, and how would Prime Minister Modi be contributing to it?
Well, Gautam, the Prime Minister has been invited as a guest of honor for the World Government Summit, which is in fact a 3-day summit which began yesterday. And tomorrow would be the closing, that is the 14th of February, where the Prime Minister is slated to speak at the World Government Summit and deliver a keynote address. He has been invited as a guest of honor by the President and the Vice President of the UAE, which includes the royal family of Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So, of course, Prime Minister has shared a personal relationship with both the leaders and, in fact, all the leaders of the UAE. This, in fact, is significant because he'll be addressing a large business gathering as well. He will also be talking about significant understanding in the sectors like artificial intelligence, sustainability, and good governance and better governance. So, this World Government Summit, in fact, is a huge platform for which government leaders from across the world gathers to deliberate on the better governance methods and futuristic technologies to govern people better and to provide them with better facilities. Also, there has been a display of flying air taxi, which is perhaps being considered as the future of mobility. So, these are some of the aspects, including artificial intelligence. So these are some of the aspects which will be dwelled upon at the World Government Summit. And, apart from that, the Prime Minister also is slated to hold at least 2 bilaterals with important countries. And the Prime Minister will also be signing some MOUs with the UAE government. So, tomorrow would be a full, the first half of tomorrow will, of course, be a packed schedule with all government, dealings happening with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well as the UAE leadership here in Dubai.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us from Dubai, Dibendu Mondal. Let me bring in Professor Anshu Joshi again. Professor Joshi, in terms of how Dubai again becomes a sort of a center of not just trade in the world, but even exchange of ideas. We've seen Prime Minister Modi participate in other events in the past as well. Could you tell us in terms of what sort of a global coalescence of opinion happens and then action follows when such events take place around the world?
To me, these events are very important because they provide an arena, they provide a stage to not only the governments of different nations, but also to the other thought leaders, for that matter, industry leaders, other partners, other stakeholders that keep contributing to global politics and international relations in one or the other way to come onto such stages and discuss and come up with the sustainable solutions of different challenges. So these events are very, very important from future's point of view. For example, tomorrow this international summit is going to take place in which our Honorable Prime Minister would also speak, and leaders from different nations and different NGOs and international institutes would speak on different themes such as the future of AI, such as the future of our societies, future of our education, future of government, sustainable development, and so on. So basically, it's like it provides an opportunity to churn the ideas and to come up with the such illuminating thoughts that can actually light up our lives, and everybody wants to live a better life. And for that, such kind of events are really important, as in they provide a space for discourse, for dialogue.
Well, certainly. The other issue that perhaps, again, Ambassador Bhattacharya, that could be taken up when the leaders meet in Abu Dhabi is how the oil market has been performing, because not just the UAE, even Qatar is part of OPEC, and they're the ones who determine how oil is traded in the world. Do you think that is something that could be a part of the talks as well?
I'm certain any discussion in the Gulf region, which is the energy center of global transactions, this issue will certainly come up. We have a very stable relationship so far as our energy security dialogue is concerned, with the entire region, in fact. With many of the countries, we import large amounts of petroleum and gas. We also have strategic partnerships in the energy sector, in which we work towards oil reserves, dialogue, so that we can have better supplies and better prices, because after all, at the end of the day, the price of oil is a very large determinant of the cost of development that every developing country has to go through. But we also work together, particularly with countries like the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, are the collaboration issues regarding upstream and downstream collaboration, not only in each other's countries, but also in third country locations. So as you know, for instance, in some of the refineries that we are working on are with partners in the Gulf region. We're also looking at prospecting in different parts of the world where there is a component of investments from the Gulf region. So energy will be a very, very critical issue. The other reason why this has become very critical today is because of the very slightly volatile situation in the region, because of which there are certain uncertainties and which leads to fluctuations and uncertainties regarding the
Abu Dhabi, where it seems Prime Minister Modi is being given a guard of honor. Prime Minister Modi inspecting a guard of honor there in Abu Dhabi, where he's arrived a short while ago for a 2-day visit to the UAE. That is Abu Dhabi, the capital of the UAE, and Prime Minister Modi there for a 2-day visit to that country. You saw Prime Minister Modi getting a guard of honor at the time of his arrival in Abu Dhabi. He was accompanied, I'm not sure if it was Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Prime Minister of the UAE, but it did look like him. But we'll have to wait for confirmation on that in just a bit. Ambassador Bhattacharya, I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were talking about how the partnership is being taken forward in different domains, which are global concerns as well.
Yes, we were talking about how close the partnership has been on energy security, and obviously that will be an item of discussion. The other one, which is one of the old areas of cooperation, which I mentioned briefly earlier, is one of human or manpower security. And this is something in which India has been a very close partner of the Gulf region, including the United Arab Emirates, for a very, very long time. You know, the relations between India and this region go back very long in history, and our exchanges have gone on for millennia. But today, I think what we see is that there is a new dynamic in this particular movement. What we've been able to achieve with the United Arab Emirates in particular is very strong partnerships which are based on the mobility partnerships between countries, which go beyond the usual labor contracts that we used to have in the past. And therefore, the kind of skills that we provide our people, both the skilling back in India as well as upgrading the skills in UAE itself, have become more important over time. And what this does is it provides greater security of employment and also greater remuneration to the Indians who go and work in the Gulf region. And therefore, this is a very new element in our partnership. We've also seen that particularly in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, the nature of our contribution of the manpower has changed very, very dramatically, in which we are now more significantly in managerial and professional capacities, contributing to the growth and development of the UAE itself. And this is something that the Arab leaders acknowledge in all the meetings that we have with them about the huge contribution of the Indian diaspora to their own growth, to the growth of the countries that they have come and started working in. And this is another very strong element. And I'm so happy that Prime Minister is also going to be taking the opportunity to meet with the Indian community over there, which is a very vibrant community and adds great flavor to the relationship that is emerging, always emerging and growing between the two of us.
It's certainly more than 3.5 million strong, and I guess the Prime Minister will be raising issues which are of significance to the community as well, the Indian diaspora. They are always contributing to the Indian economy through the remittances, and perhaps Professor Joshi, further bringing down the cost of sending those remittances is something that the Prime Minister might have on his agenda as well, as far as the talks this time around are concerned.
Yes, it could be on the agenda, and unless and until the formal announcements are made or the leaders come up with the focused issues, it would not be apt to comment on what is definitely going to be signed between the two nations. But yes, I do see an onus on development of both the nations, ranging from economic development to social development to defense and strategic development. And for that matter, wherever UAE would need any kind of help, India definitely would be ready for that, and India has been helping UAE. And on the other hand, we have also seen UAE as one of the strongest trading partners of India. And I would say that in this visit, the focus should also be on educational sector and healthcare sector. There could be multi-dimensional MOUs, there could be multi-dimensional agreements, there could be multi-dimensional programs between the two nations, as in we have seen that relationship has only strengthened in past 2 years. And this warmth of the relationship could be seen here in the chemistry of the two leaders. And so I can definitely say, at least on this one part, that we would be hearing some positive news contributing to the growth of both the nations in a positive manner.
Well, certainly. In terms of other key global concerns, we've seen how the issue of supply chains, securing the supply of critical minerals has been a concern for almost every country. India definitely, to a certain extent, for the UAE as well. Do you think that is something that the leaders might deliberate upon as well, Ambassador Bhattacharya?
Well, certainly the supply chain and value chain is something that India and the Emirates have been working very closely on. The world has got so much more integrated in recent times that it is extremely important to have very smooth logistics and also very open agreements on which these supply chains and value chains can be developed further. Because unless we have efficient economic transactions, we will not be able to be competitive in the new global economy. This also means that when we are trying to develop new technologies, and that's another area in which the Emirates is a very strong partner of India, is that we are collaborating in science and technology, in research, and in the knowledge sector so that we can meaningfully participate in the new developments and the new achievements that are going to be there in the world tomorrow. And so things like AI and blockchain, as I mentioned, are going to be some of the key issues in that. We will perhaps also see that our partnership in some of the other trade and services issues will also get strengthened. It's a very strong partnership already, but the kind of collaboration that we can provide to the region and to the Emirates in particular is very, very significant. They rely a lot on the expertise that India brings to the table when it is about adding value to the economic exchange. So that will certainly be a very important part. On critical elements, on critical minerals and material, this is an area in which we are also looking at exploring some of the third country participations that we are engaged in. And therefore, some of these strategic understandings that we have with other countries and the trilaterals that we have with the United Arab Emirates on that will also play a role.
Certainly. We're once again playing up images of how Prime Minister Modi, upon his arrival in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, got a guard of honor, and accompanying him was the President of the UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. You can see those images again on the screen. An honor for Prime Minister Narendra Modi inspecting a guard of honor at the start of his 2-day UAE visit, which will take him first. As you can see, he's in Abu Dhabi and then on to Dubai as well before he moves on to Doha in Qatar. An overall 3-day visit that Prime Minister Modi has just began upon his arrival in Abu Dhabi. Professor Anshu Joshi, we can see the images and the kind of reception that Prime Minister Modi's got at the highest level in the UAE. Tells us about how the UAE values ties with India. What can you tell us about that?
Indeed, it seems to be a beautiful welcome. And last year also our Honorable Prime Minister visited UAE and he received similar welcome with great warmth. And for UAE, India is a prioritized strategic partner at present, I would say, because of India's geostrategic location, India's preferences, and India's role in different multilateral platforms. And for UAE, India has always proved its trusted friendship and its transparent role, I would say, in the bilateral relations between the two nations. And I also stated that how UAE is trying to diversify its economy. From its conventional oil and gas based economy, it is looking forward to the futuristic ways to develop and to strengthen its economy. And there it looks forward at India as a trusted partner. As our Honorable Prime Minister also stated during a press conference, that the relationship between the two nations spells trust, transparency, and truth. So based on that, for UAE, India remains a prioritized partner And that is why we can see joint military exercises and deep cooperation in the area of defense and securities in past 2 years, I would say, between the two nations. Apart from that, a very powerful Indian diaspora lives in UAE, and that contributes not only to the economy of India but to economy of UAE as well, to the market of UAE as well. And this diaspora is peace loving. This diaspora contributes positively to the economy, and that is why through this diaspora also India proves to be a great partner in the development journey of UAE considering the future. I would say that for UAE, India is of equal prioritized significance. The same way UAE stands as a prioritized partner in West Asia for India. So the relationship is reciprocal.
Yes, certainly. Now, Ambassador Bhattacharya, in terms of India and the UAE, there's been a lot of emphasis on better connectivity as well. We've seen how that relationship has progressed in terms of the movement of people. But there is definitely scope for more to be done, which is why they've had that partnership that was announced as well during the G20 summit that took place in India. Do you think that will be further worked upon this time around?
Well, that is an ongoing process to improve connectivity. And connectivity, the demand for connectivity comes when there is a meaningful contribution of the people themselves, and that has already been proven. Today, I think if we look at the data, UAE is one of the best served destinations in the Gulf region from India. There are probably over 800 flights on a weekly basis, which go to about 20 odd destinations in India directly. So the connectivity is already deep, but given the deeper level of engagement, this is something that will continue to grow over time. The new connectivity that we are looking for, and I'd mentioned earlier, is about the economic corridor that is being talked about.
That's right.
There has been a fair amount of groundwork that has been done at the official and technical level, and we now have to implement it. Once that is done, which is the IMEC that I'm referring to, you will find that that region will have connectivity, not only in terms of trade and investment, which is one of the obvious things that comes about, but also in terms of how we collaborate in terms of our resources, not only of energy, but also of data, for instance, which is now becoming increasingly important, how data transfers take place, how the security of those things are going to be taken into account. And finally, how we bridge the innovation gap that is necessary so that we can be ahead at all times in the future as well. Because technology is developing so rapidly and innovation is such a strong element of that technological development that in order to be ahead in this newly competitive and globalized world, it is very essential to have these innovation bridges. And for us in the Gulf region, the Emirates is one of our preeminent partners in this particular sector. So I think when we look at the broader issue of connectivity, there are many aspects and many facets that have come about which go beyond the traditional understanding of connectivity that we used to talk in the past.
Certainly, I mean, there's logistics rolled into it as well, and we'll talk about that too. But let me once again bring in my colleague from Dubai, Dibendu Mondal, on the phone line. Dibendu, you've been in Dubai talking to people there as well. Can you tell us, in terms of what are the expectations of the people there for this visit? We're now, in fact, getting images, live images of talks that are taking place between the leaders of the two sides as well. These are, as you can see, formal talks taking place because Prime Minister Modi is bilateral with his counterparts in the UAE were scheduled for right after his arrival in Abu Dhabi, and we're getting those images on the screen as well. He's holding talks with the UAE President Zayed Al Nahyan, and these are the delegation level talks, it seems that we're getting the images of.
कहा मैं पूरी तरह उसको फील करता हूँ। मुझे हमेशा लगा है कि जब मैं आपके पास आया हूँ, आप लोगों के बीच आया हूँ, तब हमेशा लगा है कि जैसे मैं अपने ही घर में आया हूँ, अपने ही परिवार के ही सदस्यों के साथ मैं मिलने आया हूँ। ऐसा मैं हमेशा अनुभव कर रहा हूँ और हमारे संबंधों की गहनता ऐसी है, पिछले 7 महीने में हम 5 बार मिले हैं। ये शायद बहुत रेयर होता है। मुझे भी यहाँ 7 बार आने का अवसर मिला है। यानी ये हमारी निकटता है और हर क्षेत्र में हम लोग जिस प्रकार से आगे बढ़े हैं और आज भारत और यूएई के बीच में हर क्षेत्र में एक साझी भागीदारी हो रही है। आज भी हम कई महत्वपूर्ण फैसले करने जा रहे हैं। हम यूपीआई मेरा और हमारा जीवन कार्ड, इन दोनों का एक प्रकार से एक नया युग शुरू हो रहा है फिनटेक का, और ये भी अपने आप में बहुत बड़ा मुहिम है। उसी प्रकार से मैं आपका हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करना चाहूँगा कि आप समय निकाल करके मेरा निमंत्रण स्वीकार करके मेरे होम स्टेट आए। वाइब्रेंट गुजरात समिट को आपने एक नई ऊंचाई दी और उसके कारण उसका गौरव भी बढ़ा है। विश्व में उस इवेंट की भी प्रतिष्ठा बढ़ी है। तो आपका आना और आपने वहां जो उद्बोधन किया, तो आज भी हमारे देश के लोगों के लिए बड़ा प्रेरक है, उत्साहवर्धक है। मैं इसके लिए भी आपका आभारी हूं। आपकी भारत के प्रति जो लगाव है और आपकी यूएई के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए जो विजन है, उसका एक उदाहरण मैं देख रहा हूं। यहाँ बीएपीएस का मंदिर बनना आपके सहयोग के बिना ये संभव ही नहीं था। और मेरी पहली मुलाकात थी, मैंने सिंपली आपको रिक्वेस्ट की कि जरा आप देख लीजिए, और पलक झपकते ही आपने उसका निर्णय करके मुझे बता दिया कि आप बस जगह पर ऐसे उंगली रख दीजिए, आपको जगह मिल जाएगी। शायद इतना विश्वास, इतना प्यार अपने आप में एक बहुत ही अनोखे संबंधों की ये शक्ति को दर्शाता है। ब्रदर, मैं ये भी खुशी की बात है आज कि हम लोग बायलैटरल इन्वेस्टमेंट ट्रीटी करने जा रहे हैं। इसका भी एक लंबा प्रभाव होने वाला है और मैं मानता हूं खास करके G20 समूह के देश हैं, उनके लिए भी एक बहुत बड़ी खबर बनेगी है कि यूएई और भारत इस महत्वपूर्ण दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। आईमेक में जिस प्रकार से आपका सहयोग मिला है, आपने आईमेक को आगे बढ़ाने की दिशा में जो काम किया है, वो मैं मानता हूं पूरे इस क्षेत्र के लिए उसको जोड़ने का तो काम करेगा ही, लेकिन आर्थिक विकास के एक नए द्वार खोलेगा। हमारी आने वाली पीढ़ियां जरूर इस आईमेक को लेकर के सोचेगी कि ऐसे भी हमारे प्रेसिडेंट थे कि जिन्होंने दुनिया को दिशा दिखाई और इतना बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण कार्य आने वाली पीढ़ियों के लिए आपने किया है। आदरणीय आईनेस, मैं ब्रदर ये भी कहूंगा कि आज जो हमारे भारतीय समुदाय का जो एक पब्लिक इवेंट हो रहा है, मुझे बताया गया कि हजारों की तादाद में लोग आ रहे हैं। ये आपके सहयोग के बिना, आपके प्यार के बिना संभव नहीं है और इसके लिए भी मैं हृदय से आपका बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
पहले की और निश्चित तौर से कई क्षेत्रों में ये समझौते हुए हैं।
बिग न्यूज़।
जी हाँ, दोनों ही लीडरशिप ने एक दूसरे के साथ दोनों देशों के संबंधों
as well. You can see an exchange of documents taking place, a flurry of documents, so multiple agreements and MOUs there being exchanged from the Indian side. It's the Foreign Secretary, Mr. Quatra, and I'm sure it would be his counterpart from the other side as well. But as you can see, that's the exchange of agreements and MOUs taking place between the two sides. And both the leaders also appreciating that with applause. The Prime Minister also mentioned how UPI has been brought in to the UAE and how that is going to be taken further with another card. So more financial integration, good news for fintechs between in India as well as the UAE. But the topmost information that he disclosed in his brief address there in Hindi was that there will be an investment treaty between India and UAE. I believe that document has been exchanged now. So if I could ask you, Ambassador Bhattacharya, what do you make of an investment treaty? We already have a SEPA, we have something going on currencies as well, and now we're going to have an investment treaty with the UAE too.
Well, these are the two top economic agreements to have an FTA or SEPA, which we already have, and the other is the investment part. If I recall, India and UAE had signed an investment treaty, bilateral investment protection and promotion agreement. We call it BIPA, which was signed 10 years ago, and it was up for renewal. And I think what we've done now is probably have an upgraded version of that. But I shall wait for the report from the Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of Finance to see the exact details of that. In any case, it is an extremely important document because it provides that guarantee for investments, which has become much more common today between our two countries. And that assurance, that transparency that Prime Minister talked about is so important. The trust level that is enjoyed between the two partners. We've seen a very large number of Indian companies that are now operating in the UAE in various sectors, and similarly a number of Emirati companies in logistics and infrastructure and communications are now also operational in India. So this is a partnership that is only going to grow, and therefore both the SEPA, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, and the BIPA will be extremely crucial for providing the guarantees to the business houses for this area to grow even further.
Certainly. Dr. Joshi, your first reactions, Ambassador Bhattacharya saying that this was a treaty that was there earlier and it's perhaps been renewed, perhaps it has some new elements added to it as well.
Certainly, I agree with the ambassador, and maybe the focused areas that the leaders must have collected during their sideline conversations, also during various international events, could be.
Yes, the PM mentioned vibrant Gujarat as well.
Yes, and that's what that is what we discussed, that how our Prime Minister, he visited last year, and how the chief of UAE visited this and attended this vibrant Gujarat summit, and that is what our honorable Prime Minister thanked him for in his address. So I think some prioritized areas for future must be there in the document, and I hope that soon that document would be made available to all of us so that we can see the listed points in it. But I'm sure that the focused areas between the two nations, ranging from co-investments to science and technology, to this currency settlement, to this FTA, to innovative healthcare, must be there in the document.
Yes, certainly. Ambassador Bhattacharya, in terms of how investments have gone between India and the UAE has invested close to $12 billion so far in India, and there is tremendous scope to enhance that as well, isn't there?
There is certainly a much greater scope. We have been working very closely with our partners in the Gulf, and as you know, the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi have been our principal sources of investment. And this has happened in a number of sectors, not only in the energy sector, which of course is a natural corollary of the very deep partnership that we have in that sector. But as I was mentioning, it has expanded into other sectors such as infrastructure, logistics, communications, and now we also have UAE-based companies which are getting into retail and development of housing estates. So it's an expanded
पर्सनल रिलेशंस हो गए और खासकर
मिस्टर भंडारी जी आपको हम रोकना चाहेंगे क्योंकि जो तस्वीरें अभी इस वक्त हम दिखा रहे हैं वही
We can see some images again of the two leaders there. The launch of a new card, as was mentioned, using Indian technology in the UAE. Already UPI there in the UAE being used there, and now a new card has been launched as well. It's powered by RuPay, which is the payment system that has been developed in India. And now that is being used. That's a card for the UAE president himself. It has its name, his name as well. So there you can see that is being used by the UAE president in those images. Ambassador Bhattacharya, if I could come to you again and ask you to comment on what we're seeing here. This is a card that is powered by RuPay, which has been made for the UAE president himself, and he's apparently made a purchase with it as well.
Solid and so ever-growing that we are very confidently able to march into the technologies of the future rather seamlessly. There are two things that have happened in recent times. One is about financial transactions, and this is particularly to use the UPI system, which is now gaining acceptance in many parts of the world, which shows the robustness of the UPI system. The number of transactions that are done on the UPI exceeds that of any other payment gateway anywhere in the world. And the robustness of that particular structure, the security features are very strong. The second thing that was done, and this is probably what they're referring to, that's what was proposed to be done, is about the use of biometrics. You see that chip over there. It'll have the biometric features of individuals, which will provide even greater security in the exchanges. Now, in today's world, where financial fungibility is becoming more common, it is important to have certain securities and safeguards as well as to enhance the capabilities of that particular structure. So when you insert biometrics into this, as we do into various other documents as well, for instance, in passports, then the safety and security and efficiency of that particular transaction becomes multiplied. The ability to kind of connect different transactions over a broad spreadsheet also is enhanced. This is something that we had been working with the Emirates on for some time, and I'm so happy to see that it is being launched now by the leaders themselves.
Yes, it's a debit and credit card system called Jaivan. I think that name is mentioned on the card as well, and it's a card for the UAE president, and it's powered by UK, that's India's indigenous technology. Anshu Joshi, these images themselves really a testament to how not just India has been progressing as far as fintech is concerned in different fields of technology, but the kind of relations that India is forging with that prowess with other countries as well, isn't it?
Absolutely right, Gautam. That's what our Prime Minister says. Yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai. This is the time and this is the right time. So whatever commitments India is making to the world, it is not only coming up with the transforming the commitments into realities. It is also hand-holding the like-minded nations in this development journey. And what we saw just a couple of seconds ago is a testimony to that. And I would say it's a big milestone in this beautiful journey of bilateral relations between India and UAE. This card spells safe and secure financial inclusivity and financial integration between both the nations, and it will have multi-dimensional positive outcomes. So indeed, what India and UAE were working on since last year, we see that they have converted this project into reality in the form of this payment system, in the form of this card.
Well, certainly, and overall trade will benefit already. We've seen how it's gone up to $85 billion, Ambassador Bhattacharya, in 22-23, and the increment there, if you compare it to the previous year, was 16%. So this is really on the up and up, because both India and UAE are doing pretty well economically, aren't they?
Absolutely. If I may just have a word about that particular snippet that Prime Minister and His Highness released. India has been at the forefront of developing what are called digital public goods. As a member of the Global South and as a prominent voice of the Global South, we feel it is our duty and responsibility to use these very efficient means so that our people can leapfrog the stages of development as we become more prosperous and we have a more stable society. And we are very open, and Prime Minister made this commitment during the G20 as well, that we would use these as open source and we would be very happy to share them with other countries across the world. And therefore, this particular moment, I think, is extremely significant because the two leaders have come together to launch this particular platform. About our economic activity, India has not only become the 5th largest economy globally, but is also the fastest growing major economy in the world. And therefore, the potential that is there in India, not only as a new manufacturing hub, which is one of our priorities, but the incremental growth that we will have will need many more partners. And UAE has proven to be a very long-term, sustainable partner in this regard. As you know, in that region, the Emirates has emerged as an entrepot center for a lot of the trade that happens through that. So in other words, as a hub, the ports of Jebel Ali and others that they have developed have become extremely important in transit trade. India does a lot of our transit trade to the Middle East, to West Asia, and to Africa through that particular connection as well. So the kind of growth that we have seen is not unusual or not unexpected, but I would expect that this is something that will be sustained in the long run. The second feature of that is not just the growth levels, but also the diversification of the product range and the inclusion of new services into this basket, which will make it more vibrant and future-oriented.
Well, definitely. I mean, we've seen even on the investment front how things have really been going in a direction that is on the up again. Professor Joshi, in fact, we've also seen how the UAE and its entities have been among the first investors in Jammu and Kashmir ever since Article 370 was revoked.
Indeed, and that is what I said, that when we look at the relationship between both the nations, especially when we take a deep dive into the economic relations, we find a trusted partnership. And UAE has remained one of the largest trading partners, one of the largest investors in India. And we can also see several UAE-based companies are working in India. And on the other hand, Indian companies also have set up their manufacturing units in past couple of years in UAE. So it's good to see that it's not only about UAE, which is investing in India, particularly in Jammu and Kashmir and other states as well. But it's also, a great news to see Indian companies setting up their units in, special economic zones in UAE for in the areas of cement or construction materials, engineering products and consumer electronics, tourism, hospitality, healthcare, and retail sector also. So this relationship is mutual, but I do see in terms of numbers, I hope that both the nations think through a way to increase their mutual investment, and through which both can